We are going to attempt to record all of these meetings so that we can start developing a learning log of where we've been, where we're going, and the conversations that are being had. So just know that it's being recorded, and it'll be posted in the forum if you need to come back to it, and it also helps folks who can't make the meeting kind of catch up on where we are. So you are being recorded. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump in here. Like I said, feel free to use the chat. There will be some spots in the conversation where we pause for questions, but feel free to holler at me if you need something. Okay. All right, so friendly reminder of where we're headed. Our North Star, thank you very much for all of the contributions at our last month's meeting. We edited our North Star just a touch to include the word sustainable in our goal, to really hone in on that environment piece and the fact that we want this to be long living, longer than all of us. So we have added that in there, but just on your screen to help you level set on why we're here this morning. Okay, and I'm seeing some items come through the chat. Thanks, Frank. If we'll connect on getting that video uploaded. Marcy, thanks for joining. No problem if you have to leave a little bit early. Okay, so I'm gonna roll through a coordinator's report. There's quite a bit to discuss. And then we're gonna talk about the merger of the Access for Food Alliance and the Pueblo Food Project Network and kind of what that means for our food access community, something I'm very excited about. Then we will have some conversations regarding our goals, series of change, and next steps for working groups. That's going to be a very participatory section of the agenda, so I look forward to all of your contributions. We'll bounce out into breakout groups, we'll come back together, so there will be some cool activity there. And then leaving plenty of space in today's meeting for community updates and announcements. I know that there's a lot going on, so we want to make time for that. And if I do my job, we will be out of here by 10 a.m., if not sooner. Any questions on that, or anything that folks would like to add that won't fit into the community updates and announcements space? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna keep it moving. So let's roll through this coordinator's report. Some of you might recognize these slides from Monday because I'm double dipping here. I participated in a food council work session on Monday, and the Pueblo Food Project had the opportunity to give a quite lengthy presentation and then take some questions from council on what we've been up to. So some of these slides I shared there, but it's okay. The information stays the same. The food access survey we thought was done. We were so excited. We've got 960 responses, and we're really excited that we had so many participate. But in reality, if you take a look at this slide, you know, we have participants on the east side with the lowest participation rate out of any group that participated in the survey. Well, that is a problem, and we know it's a problem for a number of reasons. One of the key reasons being the east side is an area that experiences challenges with food access, has economic disparities compared to other parts of town, and we really want to hear the opinion of these folks. So we have reopened the survey specifically to Bessemer and Eastside Pueblo. Our researchers, you know, send some good vibes their way, because to reopen this entire survey and then agree to redo all of the data to incorporate what we hope will be at least 100 more responses from these neighborhoods is really above and beyond what they're being contracted to do. So we very much appreciate the opportunity to do that. The ask out to this group is, do you have networks in Bessemer on the east side, and will you push the survey to them immediately? We've already had a note go out to every parent of students at schools in District 60 in these areas. We've contacted all of the people who identified that they've participated in the survey from these areas to ask them to push the survey out to their networks. We had flyers distributed at the at the Eastside Distribution, the Eastside Action Support Team mobile pantry distribution last Friday. So we're hoping that these numbers are coming up in size, but it doesn't change the fact that we need more participation. So if you have the ability to spread that new link around, I've sent it out in an email once, so I'm happy to send it again. You can ping me, you can send me a chat here, you can send me an email, you can call me, whatever we need to do to kind of get the word out. We're really hoping that this makes a big difference. One of the key questions that we're asking, and it's both good news and it's still bad news, and we know that this number is going to change after we incorporate, the more responses that we're hoping to receive. But essentially we asked, are you able to feed your household all that you wanted in the last month? And of the folks who responded, almost 66% of them said, all of the time I can feed my family what they want. And that's really great. But what about the other 40-some percent? Our community is definitely experiencing challenges. We need this question answered to be 100% of all respondents. So I just share that information with you to let you know that, yeah, of the people that we spoke to, some of them are having a really hard time giving their family, the food that they want all around. So there is work to be done here. Next, we asked, what we can do as leaders in the Pueblo community to improve their food access. And I'm very happy to report that the thing folks want more is more produce stands and farmers markets in their neighborhoods. So there's an interest for supporting our local food economy. They like the idea of shopping at a place where there's more connection with the vendor, the producer. And we're very excited that that came in, as number one. We'll see how these numbers change after we incorporate our new data set, but this is very exciting. We had a focus group, and I'm so appreciative of all women. I don't know if that should be a surprise to anyone, but all of the women who agreed to participate in the focus group that really honed in on some of these key movers and shakers when it comes to food access in the community, and asked them, these are the results, what do you think? And that conversation was so illuminating. We had a lot of really great ideas coming out of that opportunity last week. So there will be a white paper produced by the Pueblo Food Project and our research team, co-authored, that we'll share out to the community, just summarizing all of the information, summarizing some of the findings and some of the really great suggestions that came out of this working group. So focus group. So shout out to the folks who made the extra time to let us dig a little bit deeper there. I'm sorry, this next slide isn't very beautiful, but it leads you to something quite exciting. It is a recording of one of the sessions. As you know, we ran both this and the market stand session twice to reach as many people as possible who wanted the information. So here is a link to the YouTube video, and this will come out with the notes so you can access it there. You can also just go to YouTube, look up Pueblo Food Project. Our channel page is growing. You'll find it there as well if you want to watch. It's about an hour long. Okay, market scans. I talked a lot about this before, but friendly reminder, this was established as a key priority of our work with the planning grant, help authored by the Pueblo Food Economy Working Group, Pueblo Food Project Food Economy Working Group, with a couple of key goals. We want to understand how we can grow existing businesses, help new businesses get their start, and then really establish our footprint as a food systems infrastructure leader for the region. Conduct 3 phases of research. That there was a quantitative survey, we had one-on-one interviews and focus groups, and the key recommendations that are coming out of that work there weren't any big surprises, I'll put it that way. And if you watched the Market Scan webinar, you were able to participate in a really robust conversation on what these recommendations really mean. Otherwise, you can check out the recording. But essentially, we're trying to educate on what is available, make it easy for people to access and use, We want to look at the facilities that are within our network and how they can be repurposed, reimagined to meet the needs of our food processing potential industry here, and really what that means to take a shell and turn it into a functioning food processing facility. We know that's not easy. We want to overcome our labor obstacles and find ways to connect the dots between those who need labor and those who need jobs. For some reason, they're not quite gelling yet, but we know that there is an opportunity there, and eventually a branding for Pueblo food products. So repping products that come from Pueblo on a regional, national sphere. How do we create brand story for folks who want to focus on making really great products and not necessarily marketing and advertising? So we're excited about where all of this is going. And again, included in the notes here is a place for you to watch that recording. We go into much more detail, again, about another hour long. So, and I'm excited that some of these are feeling just kind of like repetitive, but that means we're near the hurdle. We've done everything that we said that we were going to do to the Colorado Health Foundation in our planning implementation grant, in our planning grant leading us to implementation. But as you know, the communication platform is up and running. The forums are live. Fill out your profile, get approved, start commenting. We have a Facebook page now. We have an Instagram page that doesn't have anything posted on it yet. So, and we have a website that has some content, but is a work in progress. So I say this because if you are out there and you're saying, I would love to take over the Pueblo Food Project Facebook page for a day, or I would love to take over the Pueblo Food Project Insta for a week and have a community perspective on food project work, holler at me. I am not a social media maven. It is not my strong suit. It's an opportunity for all of us to contribute and participate and really put out the image and impression that we want to give to the community. So if that's something that you are super excited about, I would love your help in some Insta takeovers, Facebook takeovers, and the like. Otherwise, this information is here for you, and we really hope you engage. I know that in earlier phases of the Pueblo Food Project, these items were requested as being really important, a place for the community to get info and engage, and that's what this forum is for. That's what it's about. Participation has been, so, it's there and it's your tool. It's not my tool or anyone else's. It's for everyone, so I hope you use it. All right, let's talk a little bit about funding. As you know, I've said it before, it's grant season. We have the following 3 applications currently under review. We submitted a letter of intent to the Packard Foundation. They did invite us to submit a full proposal. We're asking for the full $25,000 available there. Our Colorado Health Foundation implementation grant is in also for that full $200,000. We had an interview with the Colorado Health Foundation last week.
Yes, you are.
I'm hearing some feedback there, and it sounds like someone's getting some great praise. That's awesome. If you wouldn't mind muting your line, if you're not engaging in this conversation, that would be great. Really appreciate it. So we had it was a very lengthy interview with the Colorado Health Foundation regarding the implementation plan. They wanted to really understand why we put forward the strategies we put forward, how we got there, what the involvement from the community was, and is it feasible, is what we suggested in doing. Can we actually pull it off? And I'm happy to report that the interview went really, really well. Chris Smith, who is our representative, he's our representative for the Colorado Health Foundation. He kind of gets to make decisions on the arc of the community and what he's seen at play, and take an assessment of what we've laid out in the application. And he had very positive feedback for us. So, of course, nothing is set in stone, and we won't know until an offer is made, but it could shake down 3 ways. They could say, thanks, but no thanks, you're not getting any funding. We really love your proposal. We need these modifications, and we can't give you the $200,000. This is what we can give you. Or they can say, hey, your proposal is great. We want to support you at the full 200,000. Go forth with the work. Obviously, we're hoping for option number 3. The indication that we got from the conversation with Chris is that, the application was very strong. It showed a very clear logic arc, and I'm feeling really good. Yeah, I'm feeling really good about that. So we shall see where it goes. Just noticing a comment come in the chat. Dr. Jim received feedback that the website lacks a contact us icon on the first page. At the bottom of the homepage, there's a place for folks to put their email and subscribe. So that's kind of the best way for them to get involved in the loop. But if you're looking for a specific question answer contact page, we can look at developing that. But there is a place there for people to get connected. Okay, the Help Colorado Now grant is a COVID response grant, and we co-partnered with, obviously, the city as our fiscal agent and the Boys and Girls Club to receive what hopefully will be around $50,000 in operating budget and $50,000 in immediate hunger relief work. We should know about that application in a couple of weeks. The applications we have in the works, we submitted a letter to the Colorado Garden Foundation, which has a major grant award of $75,000 offered each year. We're partnering with Steel Center of the West, as well as some hopeful work for CSU Master Gardener Extension Group, of course, and the Pueblo Food Project to potentially start a demonstration garden and plant-based medicine garden at the Steelworks Center, in addition to installing a number of raised bed gardens in the Superfund site community. So that letter of intent is in. We won't know if we're asked to apply until early September, but that is in process. Also, the Environmental Protection Agency reached out to the Pueblo Food Project, as well as We Are Farmally. We engaged them in March a little bit about our work, and we've kept that relationship alive. They have a request for proposal coming out, and they've asked us to submit a pre-request, just some ideas on what our activities might look like if there was an opportunity for us to request funds from them. So we're putting forward 3 activities, one that is We Are Farmally centric, one that is regarding the revitalization of the greenhouse, and another regarding a potential food forest. So very excited about those 3 activities. We got a decision back just yesterday from the USDA, and our Urban Ag Innovation Grant was not approved. They had 500 applications. They had a $3 million budget, and only 3% of the applications were accepted, between 3 and 5% per the guesstimation of Shelley Dunham, the city's grant writer. So we did ask directly for feedback on, what we could have done to improve that application. I think part of the challenge was our request was for just over $200,000. For the particular grant pool that we applied, there was a total of $1 million available for the entire country. So that might have had something to do with it. One was for planning, one was for implementation. We went for the planning opportunity. But we'll wait to hear back what they say. I can express my disappointment for the decision because I think it was a great idea. It was really all focused on revitalizing our greenhouse and turning it into a community education space. But let's see what they say before we judge ourselves too harshly on what happened there. Next, we threw our name in the hat for a Go Colorado Community Resilience Grant. Essentially, Go Colorado is more about outdoors. It's about getting people involved in our beautiful natural environment here. And we had the opportunity to have a conversation with the program director who'd heard about our greenhouse idea. And essentially they said, this particular program is not meant for capital improvements, and it's really not the right fit for what you're trying to do. But we have a program It's a community impact program. It opens in the spring. The dollar value is much higher than these particular grant opportunities, and we'd love to touch base with you in January around submitting an application for that. So we were not allowed to go on in the process for the community impact work, but we are bookmarked as a conversation for them in January to talk about community resilience. So that is exciting. Yeah, and those are kind of where we sit in terms of the dollars. Edible landscapes are moving and grooving. If you haven't been by yet, please do go. We've been through a couple iterations in terms of signage, but I think we've landed on some signage that makes it very clear what's happening there. Mineral Palace tomatoes are over the top, out of control. So if you don't have tomatoes in your garden and you really want some tomatoes, I would check out Mineral Palace because we're moving and grooving there. I speak to the Streetscapes Committee next week to kind of give them an update on where the edible landscapes are, kind of how they sit, some of the activities that we've undergone, and to kind of begin the conversation around what next season might look like. So that's very exciting that we're on that agenda. And we have August updates for each of the edible landscapes available on the YouTube channel. So if you can't get down to the garden yourself and you're very curious, go to the YouTube channel. The Master Gardeners have been recorded and uploaded, and we want to make them famous for all of their great work, but you can catch their short videos, 3 to 5 minutes on what's happening at each of the edible landscapes. And shout out and special thanks to the Master Gardeners on the phone who are helping keep those gardens looking beautiful. COVID-19 hunger relief work continues. Paula is asking, where do we find the YouTube channel? If you go to YouTube and you look up Pueblo Food Project, we will pop up. We'll probably be the first channel to pop up there. Okay, so you know that we have been coordinating a countywide effort. These are all of the organizations that are involved sorry, just taking a look at the chat. I'm getting a little distracted here. These are all of the organizations that are involved in that effort. We're still meeting every other week, and we're doing a great job moving resources around, so that effort continues. We are planning a distribution for next week, another partnership with the Boys and Girls Club that will feature, of course, all local products. We're really excited about doing this again. The Boys and Girls Club had a really great response to our last distribution. This is the last designated set of money that we have to kind of make an impact in the community. So it's going to be a very generous bag with all local product, and I'm really excited that we get to do it again. I know that the kids were really pumped about it. So we're doing that next week, and there will be a call for volunteers later. Our WIC PFP CSA collaboration is going so well. We have 40 families engaged, and sometimes a family misses, and I get to hand over a share to folks leaving the health department, which just always feels really great. The produce is coming from Hobbs and Meyer Farm and another farm out in Avondale. It's certified organic. Folks are loving it. We had a gift of JoJo's sriracha in each of our bags not too long ago, and JoJo was kind enough to do a video for our group. So we're feeling really happy that this program is going so well. Again, it was sponsored by COVID-19 hunger relief work, but really this is a more medium-term, long-term solution to hunger relief because it's not just a one-time handoff. This is 18 weeks of beautiful fresh produce. So we're very excited about that. Oh, yay, I'm pumped to show you this next slide. So we have, the selection committee has done its work. Invitation letters have gone out and been accepted. And round of applause for this inaugural, the first ever Pueblo Food Youth Council. We have a really great representation across school types. The only group that's missing is Pueblo West. So not sure if there's a way for us to kind of bring someone in late in the game. This particular group filled out a pretty extensive application. They each had really stellar letters of recommendation submitted on their behalf. They've all been super responsive, and so I'm feeling very, very excited to work with these young leaders on food systems issues. So, you know, this is just really very cool. I don't know what else to say about that, but we are here, we planned it, and our hope is to have our first meeting right after Labor Day. Okay, before I move on from all of that, are there any questions for me? Any questions at all about what I've just covered? You can throw them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask. Y'all are reminding me of City Council. They only gave me one question. You're making it easy on me. No one has any questions.
Yeah, this is, I got to say, Monique, this all looks really, really good. You've done a great job. Thank you.
Okay. Last call, anything coming in the chat? All right, we'll move on. Oh. Okay, so the Pueblo Food Project and the Access for Food Alliance met at the last Access for Food Alliance meeting, and I've had the opportunity to share that conversation with the Pueblo Food Council Executive Committee, and I will update the Pueblo Food Council in our next immediate meeting. There hasn't been an opportunity to discuss it before then, but I want to catch everyone in the coalition up on kind of what we're thinking and where we're going. So right now we have sort of three distinct groups in our network that are all kind of talking about the same thing. We have the Access for Food Alliance, which is about 15 orgs, 30 different members, and a really key goal and focus for that particular group is networking across all of the participating organizations. And then we have the Pueblo Food Project Food Access Working Group, and we've been developing theories of change, and we came up with all of these great strategies, and we have ideas for paths forward to improve food access in our community, and this group is really action-oriented. Any given meeting will have between 4 and 10 members, but everyone in the Pueblo Food Project is able to participate in the Food Access Working Group. And then we have the COVID-19 Local Hunger Relief Task Force that I just shared the slide with all of those different organizations who are participating there. And really that group is focused on coordinating efforts right now, real time, in response to COVID-19. But we're all kind of connected. There's a lot of overlap, right? You see some of the same faces at every single meeting, and we're thinking about what that could mean. So say, for example, we decided to form a more clear identity with all of these groups together as one. Some of the things that we might be able to achieve together are best communicate what's going on in and around our organizations, communicate resources that we have available and that we can share. That has been such a huge success of the COVID-19 task force. Literally, someone's been like, I have 2 pallets of oranges. And another person has said, I need 2 pallets of oranges. And then the bridge is built and the resources get moved. So that's really what I'm talking about when I say use resources more effectively. And then we have the opportunity to do work together across all of these different spheres that are driving us to the same set of goals. So there's lots of great reason for us to come together. Some of the things that we can establish, we're all part of the same network. We can get rid of the ambiguity that takes place when one thing is said in one meeting, but not outright said in another, but it's referenced, and then people are like, well, what are folks talking about? I wasn't there. We can really begin to support each other. We're not isolated individual islands. I know that there's already a really good support network that I've seen on the COVID-19 task force. People really do care about, you know, what other organizations need and how they can help, and we can broaden that mentality. You know, we can have that be part of our identity. We support each other and we celebrate each other's successes. Along those lines, we can consolidate our data development efforts. You know, we can establish those baselines and we can get rid of the need for asking the same question over and over again. Again, that COVID-19 Hunger Relief Task Force was really established because the Pueblo Food Project was calling people, the health department was calling people, the emergency contact folks were contacting people, and we thought, whoa, this is too much, like, let's bring it together. We can do that even more so when we talk about data, which we know everyone gets asked a lot of the same questions over and over again. And then the last three here are, you know, very action oriented. We can work together. We can share the same vision. We're all moving same energy, same direction, if it makes sense. And then we have the opportunity to share feedback. You know, feedback is so important when we do this work. You don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to step on anyone's toes. You don't want to repeat efforts. But at the end of the day, we're better off when we coordinate and more efficient, right? More organized. We best utilize each other's time. So that all plays a part into sharing open feedback. The ideas that we came up with, both in the AFFA and what I'm hoping this group will see value in as well, is for all of our groups to essentially become one network. And the name is still up for grabs, but essentially it's a pretty powerful group of folks we have here. The network is pretty dope. It's by and large, you know, 95+% of all of the individuals and organizations working on hunger relief in our community. That's amazing. So we can become one thing with 3 particular activities each month. The first, in no particular order, is a networking meeting. And that means any organization who wants to participate shows up at this meeting, and the only thing that we're doing on this meeting is giving updates. Here's the update from the Pueblo Food Project. Here's the update from the Soup Kitchen. Here's the update from SRDA, specifically around what's happening in terms of food access and your own organization. You know, we're talking 3 to 5 minutes per org. That's activity number 1, so everyone is clear on where we're at. I imagine we can knock that out in an hour, you know, 75 minutes if a lot of people are participating. Then we have our action-oriented working group, which is folks who are really excited to dig into the work a little bit deeper and think about future solutions, making improvements on existing systems, supporting existing programs in new ways, developing new solutions. So this is really that I'm ready to get my hands dirty beyond what I'm already doing and kind of push this creative element forward, that implementation phase. And then we will continue to do our hunger relief coordination for as long as necessary, as long as our community is being impacted by COVID. And I hope that everyone is wrong in what they're saying, but the reality is, you know, we're getting signals not only at a global level, at a national level, but at a state level as well. And, you know, the emergency response coordinators from state trickling down to county, which is really why we have this communication path. I roll up to the county call, or excuse me, to the state call. It's going to get rough. There's no two qualms about it. They think that the needs of food access organizations within our community are going to be pulled even more thinly than they are now, and they are suggesting that we prepare for organizational fatigue. It was a clear recommendation coming from state to the local county participants. So we need to be ready, and we can totally do that as long as we're coordinated. Lastly, and I touched on it in the last slide, you know, having this single unified voice across all of these participants is going to be so valuable for us. We can all use the same set of information. We can share the same data. We can develop our positions and our policies when it comes to decisions that are being made for and about our community without our involvement. You know, it helps us coordinate our talking points and get more involved. It gives us an opportunity to create policy positions. You know, how are we all viewing this together? That's a conversation that we have yet to have. Of course, we all think improved food access is great, but what does that really mean? And how are we drilling into those other conversations, again, that are happening without Pueblo voice in the room? So this is kind of the hope for the path forward of this group. And again, I'm sharing these details with the council. I know that the executive committee of the Pueblo Food Council is in full support. I know that AFFA members, when we talked about it earlier this month, were in full support. And now I'd just like to leave a little space in this agenda for folks on this phone to kind of ask questions about anything that I've shared, share your thoughts on what it might mean to have this group come together, what we might lose. So open space in our meeting now for some reactions and feedback from this group.
Well, I've already said numerous times, and I think this is a really great idea. I think it's time, you know, because we're all trying to do so many of the same things at the same time. So I think it's really needed to get, as you say, get coordinated and get, you know, on track to do the things that need to be done or that will need to be done. So.
Thanks, Derek.
As far as the
Other
meetings
thoughts?
are concerned, you know, the 3 items, the networking, I mean, can we do are we planning the meetings now, or when, what would that planning task look like, I guess?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think first we just need a sign off from the council to make this all official, and then write up you know, the health department and the city of Pueblo and whomever else may want to share a press release kind of announcing that this is happening. And then we'd be able to sort of establish a regular standing meeting. There's no reason we couldn't use the existing AFFA time and kind of calendar hold to do that networking piece. But I think there are a couple of things that need to be sealed up first before we move forward on putting a meeting in the calendar per se.
I see. Okay, thank you.
I'm seeing some comments in the chat. Efficient coordination capacity across collaboration spectrum, so very helpful. From Howie, a good initiative. I agree, condensing efforts is best idea and invites more people and entities under PFP umbrella of strategy. Does AFFA need to be renamed? It seems clear enough. Yeah, that's another part of the conversation. What is the overarching name of this powerhouse group? You know, how do we want to identify ourselves? But that could definitely be a conversation that we have down the line when more folks are able to be involved. Other thoughts from folks on the phone who are hearing this idea for the first time, or other thoughts from folks on the phone who are thinking, oh, I'm not so sure about this. What are we going to lose? What are we going to miss? So some different perspectives are, you know, I'm welcoming that now if you have thoughts to share.
This is Paula Robin. My video won't work for whatever reason, but am I understanding this correctly, that it's the city and the county resources uniting to move food from farm or or whoever it needs to be purchased from to the community on all the different levels? I mean, including the WIC and SNAP, or is it more towards the supporting like what we've done with the Boys and Girls Club and Soup Kitchen and schools?
Yeah, so there's the opportunity for all of that. What is being discussed now is sort of like the communication between organizations who are already doing that work. So the opportunities will be for us to have a sense on what the Soup Kitchen is doing, what's up with, you know, the rescue mission, what's happening with SRDA. Everyone will be in the loop. And then for those who are really excited to push solutions forward, anyone from any one of those groups can participate. Yeah, the food banks are involved. Karen Scher is a participant already in a number of different ways, but yes, they're definitely involved. So really this is about coordinating the community first, and then we can see kind of how the work rolls out based on what people are excited about after that.
Okay. I think it's a great idea. I'm all for it.
Other thoughts? I don't know, Gabby, I see you on the line and you've been working with the AFFA for some time. I'm not sure if you want to share your perspective from the health department's point of view. Gabby might be working the door at the health department there. Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Hi, this is Crystal. I think it's a great idea, especially if everybody kind of has their hands in the pot, you know what I mean? At least the communication will be there. So, you know, there won't be any type of, you know, the communication will be there, so there won't be any miscommunication amongst the groups, or the information that was received is, you know, all the same, instead of, oh, here's bits and pieces of everything.
Okay, well, it's sounding like folks are a fan, as Keith just put it. He's a fan of simplification and improved communication. And Marcy says we're going to lose a few extra Zoom meetings each month and regain some time and energy. That's the hope. I'm sure we could all use a little bit extra of both of those. So that's the idea, and I'll do my best to create a write-up here pretty soon, just after I get, again, that final sign off from the council, send it back to the health department. We'll probably look at it the next AFFA meeting, and then we'll move forward and kinds of pivoting ourselves to this sort of style of networking, action, and immediate hunger relief. Cool. Okay. Well, we are just clipping right through this morning. I had my coffee, you can tell I'm talking pretty fast, and you're making it easy on me with no questions, so that's all right. We'll keep it moving. We want to essentially, right, we've been having lots of conversations. Yep, Dr. Jim, I see your comment there. Corey is already involved. He is part of cooperative care. Karen shares our food bank, but yeah, Corey is involved in the Hunger Relief Task Force already as part of cooperative care. So he's been a great partner so far. So we want to kind of think about, we've done all of this great work. We have our implementation grant in, we're getting really positive feedback on that. And we came up with these really great goals to build upon existing partnerships. You can tell that we're kind of already doing that with the AFFA, PFP conversation we just had. Steps to initiate bringing Same Cafe to Pueblo. You know, if we get this money, it's going to be so amazing to have the opportunity to do that work. We were all really excited about talking to PEDCO about how we can incentivize our local food system and building this local support program for businesses, really honing in on our food and farm literacy and education advocacy platform to get that back into the school, and also create opportunities for fifth day or any other time kind of programming for folks to really engage on food and farm literacy and education, as well as, you know, our dream of the greenhouse being revitalized and turned into this robust community space. And then, of course, we had our really important goal of improving our influence, building our identity, building a name for ourselves, and getting into those conversations and in those spheres. So we've all agreed many times over that this is the direction that we're headed, at least over the next year, year and a half. But this doesn't just happen on its own. We need people power. We have to be able to do this together. And I will start by saying I am so grateful for all of the folks who continue to participate in our working group conversations and our working group work, and contribute in all of the ways that they can contribute. However, participation has been a little light. and no one comes knocking on my door to say, hey, can you schedule a blank working group meeting? Our crew really wants to get together and have these conversations. You know, it's been a lot of nudging, we'll say, a gentle nudge coming from my direction. And we're not going to be able to roll like that and actually accomplish all of the things that we want to do. You know, it's just not how it's going to work. So what I'm guessing is that there's a way for us to improve our working group engagements. I think that there are things that we could probably be doing differently that would better support y'all's participation, or things that we haven't tried yet that you've tried in other spheres. Excuse me. So we're going to spend some time now really digging into that. And I'm going to put some items in the chat to kick things off. And then we're going to break into small groups. And we're going to give everyone a chance to kind of have a conversation. So coming into the chat now are a few things. The first thing coming into the chat is our goals. The next thing coming into the chat are questions that you and your small group can kind of discuss. And the last thing coming into the chat is a hyperlink to a Google Doc where you can jot down some notes. So you'll see there's a tab in there, group 1, group 2, etc. And you will take notes in the group that you are affiliated with. So give me just a second here, and we are going to establish our breakout rooms. And you'll be popped out into 6 rooms. I'll put all of this back into the chat for you so you have it there available to you. It's also in the Google Doc. I will give you about 15 or so minutes, more like 15, 20 minutes for conversation, and then we'll come back, we'll do a quick debrief, and we'll move on with the meeting. All right, so breakout magic is happening now.
Monique?
Yes?
Oh yeah, this is Dr. Valenzuela. While we have the larger group, we're adding to the environmental working group, but I really would encourage the people here in the broader Pueblo Food Project to consider that aspect. We could use a few more eco-friendly voices. Dr. Bartolo is happily joining our group, and I just wanted to see if people are interested in that area and invite you to come along.
All right, thank you for that, Dr. Jim. Folks are being sent to rooms now. Have fun, and we'll be back soon.
right.
Welcome back. Okay, let me, I think we're still waiting on some folks to reconnect here. They will automatically be bumped out in just a minute. And then we will have a very quick debrief.
With that, some affiliated interest is what I put on how do we get more folks involved.
Okay.
And if you want me to
Okay,
tell me now.
That's good.
I see. Oops,
We need to
sorry,
go
I
to
think
their meetings
didn't mean
Yeah.
to cut somebody off there.
because they're
Okay,
already
so-
aggregated in their meetings.
It looks like most everyone has rejoined. And I know that we were going to lose one or two folks after this activity due to some other obligations. So we will go ahead and get started. I hope you enjoyed the opportunity just to talk to folks, share ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
And have just a carved out space to do that. You didn't have to worry about much else than sharing good thoughts. So that's fun. Let's start from the back of the line, group 6. Does someone from your group just want to give us one or two takeaways from your conversation?
I'll speak first. It was myself, Katie, and Renee. I think we discussed barriers of participation. A lot of it's just meeting times and dates. I think making sure everybody's schedule aligns with the meeting. I think we discussed creating, more availability for the meeting so everybody can participate. I think one thing we talked about is farmers. I think farmers are fairly busy throughout the day, and so maybe a late evening meeting might provide more time for farmers to join.
Okay.
Best ways to communicate, I think we talked about emails and meetings are probably the best. In-person meetings are always good. We do get kind of a lot of emails, so I think maybe less emails or more succinct emails would probably help. How do we get more folks involved? I think we discussed creating a working group with a municipal government or maybe the city or county hosting the working group. Provides more structure and would help bring in more community folks. Types of activities to execute. Kind of just more engaging discussions and breakout sessions like we do. I think this is where most of us engage and work pretty well together. What makes a good work group meeting efficient? I think we talked about having organized goals and actions that if we accomplish goals during the meeting, it makes us more inclined to engage on the next meeting or show back up again because it's, we feel like we accomplished something. How often should we meet? We discussed probably monthly, maybe more if there's more important things, but monthly allows us to participate in other things and then also kind of engage with this and not get burnt out. And then we discussed, is it important to have or do we want to be a working chair? We discussed maybe having more of a administrator than a chair just to help organize the meeting and provide notes and the agenda and make it run more efficiently.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Katie or Renee, anything to add? That was a great summary, but any other thoughts coming from y'all?
No, that was pretty much everything we talked about. You did awesome.
Okay, great. All right, let's go to group 5. Was that Crystal, Jonathan, Keith, and Mike, I think?
That's me. First thing, I was a giant technology fail, which is uncertainly my fault, which is that we didn't see the tabs on the bottom for the Google document until about maybe 2/3 of the way through the meeting, which is why there's not a lot there. Before that came along, I switched to paper in order to take the notes because I couldn't understand what was going on. My apologies if that's actually my fault, but I have a feeling that I may not be the only one who made that mistake. What we did talk about is a lot on barriers to entry, time commitment being one. I also think the lack of publicity is a barrier to entry. There are probably people who want to join us who simply don't know we exist. The more publicity on that front, the better. In terms of technology, we sort of got fixated on the forum. The current forum system apparently doesn't have notifications. So if you just sort of live your life and go to the forum, and you don't know if there's like a response to your post up until you decide to go back to the forum. Well, if you look at other systems like Teams or Slack, for instance, if you're signed up for one of those things, you get a hit on your phone every time that happens. If there is some way to add notifications to the discussion forum, that might help with discussion. In terms of working inside of working groups, we talked about smaller groups inside of working groups. Despite my ignorance of how Google Docs work, it does seem that the smaller group is a good thing to have in any larger meeting, and some of those working groups are quite big. And we were thinking about once a month for working group meetings.
Okay. Yeah, and to answer your question, it's definitely a setting in your user account for notifications.
In discussion forum.
In the forum, yeah.
Okay.
So I get a ping every single time anything happens there, and you can too. It's just an account setting. And I know there are a couple of experts on the phone. Derek and Frank know that pretty well, so we
Actually,
can set up
no,
just.
I have yet to find that setting, but I will look again.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, then I can set up a very quick tutorial on how to do that if it's helpful. But thank you for calling that out. I should make that information more available to folks. Okay, anyone else from Group 5 want to contribute some comments before we move on to Group 4?
I just missed what was saying about the settings. I was briefly interrupted. Some settings on discourse. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, notification settings. It's a thing. It can happen.
Oh, right. Yeah, I need to actually go through and set that up myself. So when I do, I could probably shoot a little video tutorial on my computer on how to do that. So I could share that out.
That would be dope, Frank. If you would mind doing that, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Cool. All right, Group 4. What you got? And you feel free to just answer whatever you'd like. You don't have to go through each of the questions. However you want to do it. The floor is yours.
Okay. I was kind of the scribe, so unless somebody else from my group wants to present, I could do that. So barriers to participation, we kind of echo a lot of what was already said, along with also the COVID and health and safety issues presently taking place. Daytime hours, again, was an issue for a lot of people, just kind of generally taking care of the family. And a lot of our meetings presently are being done, of course, like this one via Zoom or some technology platform like the forums. And a lot of people either don't have access necessarily to that technology or don't have the familiarity with it, which is what we were just talking about too. So maybe working on some trainings or some video tutorials to address that. Best ways to communicate, training on as far as the technology goes, echoing that again, practice of using Zoom and Discourse. Some weird things are happening here in the Google Doc. I don't know why I keep seeing things disappear and then reappear from our worksheet. So if something is missing, I'm trying to read it back and I can't.
Sorry, I don't know what's happening there.
How do we get more folks involved? We had talked about outreach events, like the new upcoming Reimagined Chili Festival. I don't know if there's been talk already about having PFP or Pueblo Food Council representatives at that event. Maybe somebody at each chili vendor's location or something with some handouts or something like that. Dr. Kelly mentioned the January conference. I'm not sure which exactly she's referring to. If you want to chime in on that. Brochures and things at the boxes at food giveaways and things. I think that's already been some of that happening. Appearing at the skate park or community gathering areas. I don't know if those are even open still at this point, but the seed giveaways that's been happening for the that Derek has been heading up through the All Pueblo Grows. food banks, food pantries, having awards. That's more of a recognition thing for people that have been involved in the food project, and tell and store, and echoing what Dr. I was just saying about publicity. We need more publicity about what the Pueblo Food Project has been up to and how people can get involved. And I think that's basically the summation of what we discussed. Anybody else have anything to add from our group?
Hey, Monique, you've gotten us some good press. You know, I'm still of an age of wanting to read a newspaper, but now the chieftain I get digitally. Maybe we should occasionally have a statement in there from our working groups, because each one of those areas probably has something interesting. And as I always think, the newspaper's got to put something in there every day. It's hard for them, so maybe that's one way.
I agree with you, Jim, about the no paper, but I also thought maybe having something tangible to pass out to people that guide them back to the YouTube channel or the forum, that they would remember past that first time interaction at a table, would be helpful. You know, not just the banner getting the logo out, but as many times as we can get that brand recognition for PFP. And then I think Laura mentioned something about having maybe a digital audio video display at different places, inviting people to a working group or showing those videos if we had an event. I was referring to the planned sun soil conference that was in the proposal for CHF. Okay.
As you were talking, Dr. Kelly, this is Laura, and I was also thinking, you know, of some sort of an electronic periodical that is released on a regular basis to a group of individuals. And if someone from the food project could coordinate with the Latino Chamber, the Pueblo Chamber, I think there is a student issue that goes out from CSU Pueblo. And if we could ask for, you know, the Pueblo Food Project Corner or some other, you know, fun name, and write and submit small, you know, articles or summaries on a regular basis or quarterly basis at those places, that might get our name out more, and also always encourage increased participation.
It's a great idea. And I see Frank coming through on the chat saying a blog on the website. There is a tab on the website under initiatives called Learning Log. And that was kind of a suggestion from the Colorado Health Foundation and some of our technical advisors, but essentially that's going to serve as our blog. So there's one post there now, but there needs to be more. It's a capacity issue. So if anyone's excited about writing a blog, holler at me. Okay, I'm going to ask groups 1, 2, and 3, if we can just have one key takeaway from each of your conversations, because I want to make sure that we have enough time for community announcements. So group 3, Paula, Marcy, CJ, or Lindy, give me one takeaway from your group's conversation.
This is Paula. I would say that we suggested having homework so that you're moving from grant to action definition that you will bring to each meeting, and then you also gather homework which will combine the grant to action definition for the next meeting.
Accountability, I like it. All right, group 2, Derek, Dr. Jane, Lucy, and Howie. Give us a takeaway from your conversation, please.
This is Derek. So one of the takeaways, I think, is the type of activities to execute in working group meetings is, first of all, we need to have, you know, like when we first meet, we'll have the status, our current status, and then, you know, measure the success or the failure, you know, figure out what's working, what's not, and then go to the next steps, and then, you know, 30-minute meetings if possible. How's
wow. That? Okay. All right. And group 1.
And this is Linda. I think that if I kind of have two takeaways. If I could take a quick moment. One is in the barriers, the sense that we've lost our mandate. And of course, COVID-19 presents many barriers. So the other one is stop waiting until something happens to invite people to join to make something happen. So inviting local and regional experts to groups to participate as guests and then get them engaged in the work of the group is a thought too.
And can you share a little bit more on we've lost our mandate? What do you mean?
Rachel, you want to jump in on that? Did we lose Rachel? Anyone else from the group?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, can you hear me now? I was on mute and the phone was away. I meant as a group, not as a entire council, just that I feel like we need to reform in this second phase after we've had the initial lift and work of organizing around the professional research and COVID. So we just sort of need to reform and set up some strategic priorities.
Got it. Okay. All right. Yeah. And each of the working groups has their strategic plan started. Different groups are in different phases of that work, but in terms of establishing purpose and vision and goals and priorities, every group has done that so far. So we can always refer back to those documents. I guess the challenge is turning it in from a document into action, which was the purpose of these conversations. So thank you very much for all of the notes that you've taken, and I'll do my best to distill them and hopefully start incorporating some of that feedback in our next round of working group meetings. Okay, we have 6 minutes left, so I'll be brief. The soup kitchen really needs volunteers, y'all. I sent out an email about it. It's no joke. They really, really, really need volunteers. The commitment is from like 7:30 to noon, any day of the week except Sunday. If you can't do that whole time, you can only do part of the time, or if you can do a couple days and for a limited amount of the time, you know, they're willing to be flexible, but they really need help. So throwing that out there. We'll be doing another distribution for the Boys and Girls Club next week. You'll see an email from me calling for volunteers. It'll only be a few hours. It's definitely, you're working for those few hours, but it's awesome. We need it. It's great. The kids love it. So if you're available next Thursday, that would be cool. And if you are interested in helping out at the farmers market, as you know, SNAP is now being accepted at the farmers market, woohoo, and Double Up Food Bucks is really helping people stretch their benefits even further. That's something that we help spearhead to get started there. If you want to help Marcy and her team and myself kind of run that Double Up Food Bucks program at the farmers market, talk about PFP at the farmers market, please connect with me, because it's a really nice way to spend Friday and it's a lot of fun. So holler at me if you're interested in there. Are there other community announcements, things folks would like to share? Now is a great time to do that.
This is Paula Robin. I have one. We have a new manager and coordinator that are coming to the Small Business Development Center, and they are both from the cafe at the Pueblo Community College. They have run that. So if you have people that have restaurants, businesses with food, after September 1st, they will be working with us, and we will have a lot broader perspective and can help hopefully several other businesses.
All right, that's fantastic. We'll have some expertise at the SBDC. What else? Any other community announcements or questions folks have, comments?
This is Marcy. I have one quick comment before I run. Actually, I have two. To being the first year farmers market with SNAP and Double Up, I learned last night we have a 69% redemption rate for Double Up Food Bucks, which I know that doesn't probably mean anything to any of you, except that it's higher than almost every first year market has been. That boils down to Double Up Food Bucks has been hugely successful and is being hugely successful in our market, and a lot of people are being helped. We have an average of 10 customers every week who've never used their benefits at our market before. So every week we're having 10. It's incredibly cool. Also, Eastside Action Support Team is losing our location to do drive-through mobile food pantry. It looks like that we haven't had 100% confirmation the board has to make a decision, but we're probably going back to 100% walkthrough at the Lucero Library, because right now, with such a quick pivot, it just makes the most sense. So we are desperately in need of volunteers for that as well. And now I have to run into an appointment. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, Marcy. Okay, anyone else have a community announcement? We have just a couple minutes left. Anyone else have something to share? And I see Dr. B put something in the chat regarding the Rocky Ford open house, the research spot open house. I know that I would love to take a trip out there to see what's going on in the field. So if folks want to coordinate, send me a note, because I would love to plan on that in the next couple of weeks. Any other? Yeah, thanks, Renee. Go for it.
I have a request. It is not necessarily food related. We are looking to find a place on the north side to put the mobile showers. So we host them here at NeighborWorks on the south side, but we need a spot on the north side that's got water and electricity. If anybody thinks of anything, please contact me. If you don't have my direct number, you can just call NeighborWorks Southern Colorado, but it's kind of a desperate need. We just don't have any place up there for those people who need to use those showers and facilities. And of course they do get food while they're there, they change of clothes, all sorts of things. So thank you.
Okay. All right, folks. So if you know of a parking lot or a good location where that mobile shower trailer can set up so that folks have access to something as important and basic as a shower, please do what you can to help us find a spot. That would be amazing. All right. Well, we have done it. It is 9:59. You see a link in the chat box now. It is a form. Feel free to click on that link and provide any and all feedback that you'd like to share from today's meeting, any other info that's coming your way or talk you have about the Pueblo Food Project. I will be sharing this link after every meeting now forever, now until forever, because really your feedback is important and it is taken into consideration and reviewed. So don't hesitate to use that link at will. And with that, I will close us for today. Thank you so much, and we will see you next month. Pueblo Food Council members, go ahead and stay on this line. We will get started at, let's give ourselves 7 minutes, come back at 10:07, and we will start our council meeting. Thank you.